Yeah, the judge is Vanessa Baraitser, and that doesn't bode too well for Julian Assange if she mostly has been a rubber stamp for extradition cases. Because I think, as I could tell from covering the 1 week hearing back in February, she was looking for anything that she could seek refuge in order to approve the extradition of Julian Assange. And this just shows how she operates as a judge. This comes from Declassified UK. Some friends over there, Matt Kennard and Mark Curtis, they do fine work over there trying to expose the national security state inside of the UK. And they also submitted requests under the Freedom of Information Act in the UK with the Ministry of Justice, trying to get some information about Baraitser because she's very secretive. There's very little public information available about her. She has been a solicitor since 1994. She's been a district judge since October 2011. But aside from the public cases in which she oversaw, there's very little information about her. There's actually very, very few images of her as well. So that's another thing as far as transparency in this case. This is a very private individual, and yet she holds a lot of power in this particular case, and obviously in other cases where she's determined whether someone was going to be extradited. And they put in a request back in February of 2020 and sought information, but apparently they're claiming that the judiciary is not a public body for the purposes of FOIA, and that requests asking to disclose all the cases a named judge ruled on are therefore outside the scope of the FOIA. And so, I don't know if these were public cases. I'm not sure why the UK government has any legitimate reason to withhold these records. But clearly, if someone asks for them and they want to frustrate those requesters, they can do just as the requesters, they can do just as agencies do here in the United States to make it hard on requesters. They can force you to, I'm not really sure what the process is in the UK and if they have any recourse to go through the court system to try to get these documents. We have FOIA lawsuits in the United States to challenge these decisions. So I'll follow this and see what happens. I'm interested as a journalist covering this case because this is basic information that would be helpful and provide crucial context to what Vanessa Baraitser is doing as the judge overseeing this case. So I think that obviously I am a supporter of more transparency of what's happening with Vanessa Baraitser than to allow the UK government to keep her record of ruling on cases secret from the public.
Thank you, Kevin. Those were great stories this week. Do you have any sort of final thoughts, anything you want to leave folks with before we check out for the week?
Yeah, it's been a busy week. Like we said at the top, we've been celebrating this 5th birthday. So first, if you're interested in hearing from us about what it has been like and what we've learned from running this organization, we posted a video where we talked for close to an hour, did a lot of jaw jabbing and talked about what we think we've learned. And especially if you work in an independent media organization, we figured you might benefit from hearing from what we think we've learned from the past 5 years. So I would say go watch that video. But then additionally, on Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be moderating a conversation that is put together by the Courage Foundation. And this organization has been doing a lot of Assange defense advocacy work. And Barry Pollock, who is Julian Assange's attorney in the US, as well as Jeffrey Sterling, a CIA whistleblower who was convicted under the Espionage Act, and Lori Love, a UK activist who successfully defeated an extradition request from the United States, are all going to be on the panel, which I'll be moderating. I'll be bringing my own background covering Chelsea Manning and following the Julian Assange case to this conversation. You'll have an opportunity before this panel to submit questions, which I am committed to folding into the larger discussion. So if you're not doing anything else on Saturday, and we still are living under a global pandemic, so I imagine you aren't doing that much on a Saturday. So maybe I could convince you to put your trip to the grocery store, push it to the end of day on Saturday, and stay home and watch this panel. It'll be live streamed at Courage's YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook page. There's also a Don't Extradite Assange YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook pages where it'll be streaming. And of course, I'll share it, and we'll share it with the Shadowproof accounts so that you all can follow along. It'll go for about an hour, hour and a half, and we should be able to get into a lot of really good information about what Julian Assange can expect if he's brought to the United States, and if this successfully unfolds for the U.S. government. Sadly, that's the spin in favor of the government. If we fail to prevent Julian Assange from being brought to the U.S., this is going to get into the kind of risks to his civil liberties and his human rights that he will face if he is here in the U.S. So I encourage you to watch that conversation.